Today we are talking about all the reasons you may or may not want to move to Sammamish, Washington. Sammamish is a beautiful place and you can watch my other videos on Sammamish, but these are the main reasons why you might not want to be here. Welcome to the Living in Bellevue, Washington channel. What's up? If you're new here, this channel is all about what it's like to live in and around Bellevue, Washington. If you're not new here, welcome back. Please take a minute to hit that like button down below. It helps anybody else who's looking for this information find it more easily. If you're not new here, thank you again for coming, but also hit that subscription bar and that notification bell, and anytime I upload a new video to this channel, you'll be notified. What happens here on this channel is I tell you everything about what it's like to eat, sleep, live, and play all around Bellevue and surrounding areas. I tell you the up, down, the left, the right, the good and the bad and the ugly about Bellevue, Washington, and surrounding areas. Hi, my name is Silva. I'm a real estate agent right here in Bellevue, Washington. And look we have so many people coming to our area, reaching out for information, trying to find the right place, that exact neighborhood for them to live. They are calling me, texting me, emailing me, and you can do the same thing. So you can pick up your phone, give me a call, send me a text message, email me, hit that calendar link down below, get on the calendar with me as soon as possible, and we will find you the perfect house in the perfect neighborhood where you can call yourself at home. So let's get the basics out of the way right away. Weather. Everybody knows the Pacific Northwest gets a lot of cool temperatures and lots of rain. If you do not like gray skies, low ceilings, and drizzle, wind year-round, because it's really pretty much year-round, you may not want to move to Sammamish, Washington. There are other places that get a little less rainfall and might get some more clear skies during the year, but it could be very much that Sammamish is not the place for you. Issaquah, Sammamish probably get a good percentage more rainfall than, say, Seattle or Bellevue. So depending on what part of the country you're coming from, or even what part of Washington you're coming from, winter is a little bit different in Sammamish. We have, like I said, gray skies and rain, but what we also get quite a bit of during the turning seasons, fall and spring, is windstorms. And these windstorms can wreak havoc on the power grid. So if that is something that you are clearly dependent on and you don't have a backup generator, or you don't want to live that kind of a lifestyle, Sammamish might not be the place for you. So something that is not completely independent of the weather in Sammamish is the trees. There are thousands of trees in and around Sammamish, and there are very strict rules and guidelines as to what trees you can take down. But the trees can be a real menace. On a sunny day, they provide a lot of shade, but they can make your house feel completely and utterly dark because they are so full and tall. They cover everything. So on a windy day or a stormy day, those trees, they sway in the wind. When I first got here, I swear they made me seasick. But we were talking about trees that are 60 to 70 meters tall. So a tree like that, if it drops a limb, it can wreak havoc on your yard. It can break your patio furniture. It can be dangerous to go in the woods. But what it most often does, if any of those trees do come down on the roadways, on the power lines, you are going to be without power. Another problem with the trees that we have is they do provide quite a bit of shade on the yards. Like I said, it shades your house, it keeps the heat off of it in the summer. However, if you are into gardening, things like that, if you like a grassy lawn, things you should think of when you are shopping for a house in and around Sammamish is if your entire backyard is all moss or mud, chances are you're not getting a lot of sunlight hitting that yard. If you really want to have a garden, our growing season is relatively short. You have to take advantage of it from the beginning to the end if you want to harvest anything. So I highly and strongly recommend that you look for a place that perhaps has fewer trees and more sunlight hitting your yard. So we went from weather, we went to trees, and now we're going to talk about yard size. The density plan in King County seems to be getting, well, more and more and more dense. We have more and more people moving to the areas, and King County itself is trying to keep people in close quarters. We're trying to get as many people here as we can. So something to think about if you're moving to the area. In Sammamish, you can find some yards or lards, but for the most part, newer construction, probably in the last 10 years, is getting to be smaller and smaller and smaller lot sizes. So if you want a big yard, we can find it. It's going to take a little research, but we will find it for you. Other than that, again, the trees, if you have a heavily wooded lot, it might not be as useful for you depending on where you're coming from. If you want wide open spaces, and the rules, again, are very strict regarding what trees you can and cannot take down. So yard size might be something to take into consideration. So far we're talking about a lot of things that nobody has any control over. The weather, the trees, yard sizes is decided by the county. The next thing we're going to talk about is wildlife. It can be really cool to see a black bear walking down the street. It can be awesome to see deer in your front yard until they're eating your roses. It is pretty amazing to spot a bobcat. I have only once been lucky enough to see a cougar, and I do mean a cougar, the animal. And coyotes, we see them around here. They can be a nuisance. They get into the garbage cans, they get into the gardens, they get into the chicken coops, they can get wherever. A black bear can get wherever it wants to get. So, story time. When my children were in elementary school, the school sent out a notice that we needed to give the kids the skills to scare off a black bear should one cross their paths as they're waiting at the bus stop. So my little 35-pound 6-year-old is supposed to stand big and put her arms out and try to look big and brave when there's a black bear. My kids never went to the bus stop by themselves, but that was something that even I was not completely prepared for. On another note, we also had a school lockdown because there was a mama bear and her 2 cubs walking on the school track. So we take precautions where we are, but if you do not like mixing and mingling and being cautious of wildlife around you, Sammamish might not be the place for you. Finally, we're going to talk about something that we as people have a little bit of control over: traffic. If you are living on the plateau in Sammamish, Washington, there are really 1 or 2 roadways that get you on or off the plateau. And if you are commuting for work, those 2 roadways can become pretty choked up during school times or rush hours. Everybody is on 228th, and it is a way of life here. A lot of us don't leave the plateau. Everything we need or want is on the plateau, so we keep in and stay on that little nest. But traffic is something, and again, it ebb and flows. You know, during COVID, a lot of people were able to telecommute and work from home, and that's still a case for quite a few people where they either telecommute full-time or they have hybrid hours now where they're going into the office, but not as often as they used to. And again, some people are slowly getting back into the groove of going back to the office 5 days a week. Children, again, are of course back in school as well. So those are things to take into consideration. You are going to spend a little bit of time getting off the plateau if you work somewhere else. Redmond, Kirkland, Bellevue, downtown Issaquah. Getting through that traffic can sometimes be a little bit of a drag. So one other consideration that is probably one of the biggest considerations you might take in when you are considering a move to Sammamish, Washington is cost of living. We all have to live somewhere. We all have to pay for food, shelter, clothing, all those good things. But the cost of living in Sammamish is a little bit higher than you're going to find in most places. So the cost of living might be a reason for you not to move to Sammamish. Right now, today on the MLS, Multiple Listing Service, in Sammamish, Washington, zip codes 98074 and zip code 98075. We have quite a few houses for sale, not a ton, but quite a few houses for sale considering the market we've just come through. The lowest, cheapest price house on the market as of today is $800,000 for a 1,600 square foot townhouse. The highest priced market has been sitting for a little bit of a time. It is lakefront property on Lake Sammamish, and it is priced at $11 million. Middle class living in Sammamish, especially for newer construction, newer houses probably built in late 1990s to present are going to be priced from $2 million to about $3 million. You can get things as cheap as $1 million, but that is middle class living right here in Sammamish, Washington, and it comes with all these perks. and all these negatives. So take it into consideration when you are picking a place to move. One of the other problems that you might find with Sammamish is that there really is no industry in the area. We have schools, we have grocery stores, we have boutiques and bars and restaurants, but we do not have corporations here where you can find a career ladder that you can climb very easily. If you want to find that kind of work, if you are in the tech industry, for example, you are more likely going to be working in Bellevue, Kirkland, Redmond. You could even work in downtown Issaquah, but Sammamish is really a bedroom community and you're not gonna find good job, good career opportunities in and around Sammamish. Finally, schools. When you live on the plateau, you pretty much stay on the plateau. If you go to school on the plateau, you go to school, you go to the library, you hang out with your friends, you do sports, everything is pretty much on the plateau. If you are looking for any kind of special resources or educational requirements for your children, for yourself, the Sammamish Plateau might not be the place for you just because we have limited opportunities for schooling on the plateau and you would have to add quite a bit to your commute time to get somewhere else. Last but not least, we are a pretty healthy, health conscious, educated, fun demographic. But what we don't have is a lot of nightlife in Sammamish. You could go to the Met Market for a late night drink, and I mean a cup of coffee. You can go to the Pine Lake Ale House or any of the other restaurants that are close by. Most of them close at between 10 and 11 o'clock. You are not gonna find a place to get dancing or anything like that. We are the kind of people who like to just hang out and sit around, socialize and talk to our friends. So if Sammamish still sounds like a place that is intriguing you or a place that you'd like to come check out, please call me, text me, send me an email, and we can take you around and show you all around town. If it does not sound like the place you want to be, call me anyway. We know the area, and if you tell us what it is you're looking for, we can find the area that's going to suit you and your needs and your wants and get you into a house in that location. Don't forget, call me, text me, email me, get on my calendar, whatever it takes, and let me know when you're coming to town.